Hey friends, it's Vasily, and I failed. I brought you here today to tell you of my own failures as a human being, as an adult, mathematician, scientist, superhero, flying piece of shit. Okay, so what am I really talking about here? What do I mean I failed? If you've watched any of my previous videos, then you know that at the end of last year, I really tried to make myself new routines and build new plans to just be a better version of myself. And in trying to do so, I've learned a lot about where my shortcomings are, what I can and can't do, how well I can focus, if I can stay dedicated to the habits that I've started to build. And well, it turns out that I'm actually really bad at it. I'm actually really bad at being consistent. My cat's joined me now, so I have to hold him until he gets tired of it. Don't mind the little cat paws. So I've come to really realize that I have a huge problem with consistency, and as much as I talk about it, as much as I know what I should be doing, it's actually really hard. It's really hard to stay focused and keep on track of the goals that I have. One thing that I've noticed that I'll quickly compromise on my plan. By the third day of running in a row, or the third day of waking up early to do meditation, or fourth day I'll think, oh yeah, you know what, I'm kind of tired today, I'll just take a break and make it up tomorrow or something. If I'm running 3 days a week, I'll say, oh, you know what, I'll skip this day and I'll run 2 days in a row. I bank on my future self kind of being able to do that, and it hasn't really worked. I've noticed that I'll bank a few days, and then if I do it, it's great, but then I get more tired, then I want to bank more days. And if I bank the days and I don't do it, then it just kind of feels like I've entered a cycle of disappointment and like negative self-reflection, and I don't think that helps either. Another thing that I've realized is that I don't like to act right away. When it comes to the plans I've made and things that I was trying, I would build an outline and plan for a really long time, and then even if I had the time to act the same day, I'd always leave it for tomorrow. I could never decide to do the thing on the same day that I decided to do it. I always set a future start date. Okay, tomorrow I'll start running, or Monday I'll start running again. I'll wait until this time and start this schedule and it'll be fine, instead of just doing it right now. And I realized that it's something I've done forever. I've always been excited about making plans and building ideas, and then when it came to actually do it, I would always put it away in a distance, like somewhere that didn't feel real in the moment, you know? I didn't have to overstress in actually doing it. I didn't actually have to exert the energy and time and risk failing, because as a plan, it was perfect. The other thing that gets in my head a lot is my own decision making about when I should be doing something. For example, when my girlfriend comes over to stay with me for a couple of days, I don't plan anything for those days. I don't plan to continue my routines even though they fit in those days. These are the days that they're supposed to happen. I don't really plan to do any of my own personal projects or my own work. I just leave the days really open so that we can spend the time together however we want to do that. And as a result, I don't really follow through with my plan. Even if she stays over for like 3 or 4 days and I'm supposed to run every other day, I don't do it. I don't meditate, I don't write, I don't work on my projects, I don't really do anything. The weirdest part is that like she doesn't mind when I do. In fact, she encourages me to do so. But when the time comes, I kind of feel my own sense of obligation of not doing that, of not doing something that's purely for me, even though that's fine, even though that's 100% okay and encouraged. Basically, anytime I have a plan to do something for myself, if it interferes with a plan that I've made with somebody else, I completely abandon the thing I've tried to do for myself. I think it's important to be flexible, but I also think that this constant abandonment of my own plans is kind of what leads me to this inconsistency. And it just really sucks, like failing at stuff that I want to do. And what also really sucks is that in the moment when I realized I haven't worked on my own projects for a while, I start to blame other people for the fact that I chose not to do something even though it's not their fault. Even though I have their support to do it, even if they're here with me, I get frustrated and I think that I need to be alone. And it made me realize how fragile my work ethic is. I really want to be the type of person that can do anything very consistently no matter what's happening around me. And in some ways I am, but in a lot of ways I'm not. In a lot of things that I'm nervous to do or still scared to do or have a hard time doing regularly, it doesn't happen. And it's hard. I think restarting over and over again is really hard. But the fact that I'm restarting over and over again means that I want to do this, you know? Even when it comes to making videos, I find that if I don't do it frequently, I start to find it tedious. I start to find it scary. And the fact that I've been making videos regularly, it has become more comfortable, and it makes me more comfortable in front of the camera, but also more comfortable just starting to record and working on a project. Like, that just shows me that consistency works, that being consistent is helpful, and that restarting over and over again because of a lack of consistency doesn't help. I think part of it is that I also take on a lot of things at the same time. I'm starting to realize that I don't do really well with multiple new things at the same time. I definitely am a one-track kind of person. It's easiest for me to build one thing at once and to have one main idea at once. The problem is that I have a bunch of ideas at the same time and I want to jump from one to the other, and that's kind of hard and tedious. It's pretty wild reflecting on how my brain works and thinking that this one week, for example, I'll think, okay, I really want to make a bunch of short films and write a bunch of short scripts, and by the end of the week I've started thinking about something else, like building my friend Sandra a bench, which I said I was going to do in February, but I haven't quite figured out how I want to do it yet, and we're now in April and it's still in the back of my head that I want to do this bench and I haven't done it yet. You haven't done this, you want to do this. And 2 weeks after that I'll start thinking about, oh, okay, like how am I going to make this commercial for this company, or how am I going to make a spec video for myself and my portfolio. I'm going to build my website. My brain is just very, very scattered, and I think that being consistent in a few things is helping me. I'll be in better shape if I could just keep to that schedule of running and stuff. I think overall it's just really opened my eyes about how distracted I get with the things around me and the ideas that I have, and I write them all down, and then I kind of get overwhelmed with all the things I want to do. And the few things that I think would really help overall are things that I've quickly abandoned and tried to restart and abandon again. But there are some things that have stuck, which is really nice. Every day I've been able to write on my whiteboard about everything I want to do that day. I have another whiteboard full of tasks for the month that I'm checking off, and it feels really good. And these are things that have been consistent. I have a list of projects that I want to complete and that have either set timelines or open timelines, but just having them all listed out in a place where I see them all the time has been really helpful. And even though I haven't been able to stay consistent with everything that I was planning to do all at the same time, I think if I slowly add them back in, I'll be able to stop myself from restarting and just continue. Ultimately, I think the most important thing is that I've learned something from my failures. I've learned how important consistency actually is, and how it just doesn't happen by itself. Like, it's something I have to focus on. It's something I have to try and actively do. I also learned that I just need to try to build one habit at a time, and that I can't stockpile a bunch of new habits and routines and think that it's just going to work and that I'll be able to do that and then start new projects, because that doesn't work. I also think probably the most important thing I've learned is that I get in my own way, and that I at first want to blame others. I want to blame people that support me, that are okay with me taking time to do things for myself. But in reality, it is myself. It gets in the way. It's my own thoughts of obligation. It's my own imaginary feelings of what I owe to other people. And the only one that's really being let down is myself, so gotta stop letting myself down. It's hard. It's been really hard to accept the way I am, I guess. I've started to make a list of things that I have done. And even though I fail at doing certain things to build certain habits, if I focus on the things that I have done and that I'm able to do and that I want to do, then that's where I feel good. That's where I can grow from, and that's where I can make myself better. If I'm constantly focusing on the things that I don't want to do, it's kind of a position of fear or panic, and it doesn't really drive a positive motivation. Focusing on the things that I want to do. I want to be able to run 10 kilometers super easy. I want to be able to dance the way I used to dance. Thinking about things that I have done and things that I want to do, I think will help me be more consistent. And a large part of my inconsistency has been blaming myself, looking down at the things that I've missed out on because I don't want to do things, and criticizing myself because I was trying to run away from things that I didn't want. Consistency doesn't come from not wanting something negative, but wanting something positive. I guess failure taught me that in order to stay consistent, I have to chase the things that I want and stop running away from things that I don't want. Thanks for watching.